the number one show on the interweb. We review films and occasionally TV. Today we're on Amazon Prime, Scamazon Slime, as my boy Bob the Butcher calls it. I'm Ross Lander. We're going to be talking about The Boys Season 4. My favorite show, well, formerly my favorite show. Me and Gaz are going to deconstruct what went wrong. I know Gaz was like, I mean, I know you like Carl Urban, right? At the very least,
I do. Yeah, he's a good actor.
So some amazing New Zealand actor talent in this. Carl Urban playing Billy the Butcher. Homelander is actually Anthony Starr, another New Zealand actor. Apparently, the Deep is from was on Dawson's Creek back in the day, which is absolutely hilarious. A couple of new characters are introduced into this season. We'll talk about the good. We'll talk about the bad. The fate of Black Noir. I'm trying to think like who do I think really did good in this season, story arc wise, guys. And it's pretty difficult for me to say. I suppose I would land on Mother's Milk. He wasn't as prominently featured in the other seasons, but he essentially becomes team leader. Kind of relies on his CIA roots. The actor, Alonzo, I should have that up, lost a bunch of weight, so you can see quite a difference in his appearance in season 1 through 3 versus season 4. He was supposed to look more like the Mother's Milk looked in the actual comics, which I haven't read. You guys are probably going to butcher me for that, saying it's my favorite show and having no idea of the source material. Shout out to my boy Gabe. I know he's read them, so I need to revisit.
I haven't, man, either. So
yeah, I need to get up on it. I mean, now that this season was because the comics do differ in storyline, guys. So it doesn't. They're kind of making up their own stuff.
Be a lot better
and doing their. I was trying to avoid saying that, but Gaz is our voice.
Oh well, I'm not a fan of this show anyway.
Gaz is the no filter on the show, so anything that I insinuate, he'll just double down on. My boy, obviously Jesse T. Usher plays A-Train. Actually, you know what? I did like A-Train's story arc in this season.
Yeah, he did have a good one.
Laz Alonso plays Mother's Milk. Lost a bunch of weight, so he looks a little bit different. Starlight, I've always thought is slightly annoying. We'll come to her when the time comes. Even though Firecracker was obnoxious, I thought she was an amazing new character as far as what she did. Like much like Newman is an obnoxious character, but she's an amazing actress. Like,
she was pretty much the mainstream news anchor.
Yeah, she was like the female Alex Jones of The Boys season 4, which I thought the whole InfoWars spoof was hilarious. Other than that, I'm not. Hopefully, we'll come to it in the synopsis. But that part when they were talking about the Vought phases, like much like the Marvel phases. What up, Slipknot? I don't know if you watch The Boys. You caught that part, right, when they were doing like the TED Talk and they had all like the layout of like they're obviously making fun of Marvel, right? I mean, that was the thing because Marvel has had some serious misfires with Blade and other things that they have completely messed up. So it was funny when they were making fun of that. I thought that was one of the highlights. You should check it out, Slipknot. It's pretty. I mean, you probably like seasons 1 through 3. I think a major thing that I didn't like about this, Gaz, was those younger soups who came in at the end of episode 8. You're probably not familiar where they came from. So they're from a show called Gen V, which is a Boys spinoff, or maybe you've heard of it. Dude, Homelander is fire, bro. I got to admit, Anthony Starr is a genius level actor. We'll talk about his performance in this season. I really felt that didn't work, guys. Like I watched Gen V and I thought Gen V is like a C- version of The Boys. And I thought they just did too much trying to bring them into the main series. I'm like, we don't need these dumb. They're like these little peon peasant drones of Homelanders. I'm like, he already has the 7, so he doesn't really need these second, these bench players. That was my take on it, but I don't know if you felt the same.
Well, it was when he kind of marshaled every kind of superhero available to pretty much instigate martial law, nationwide. It was the way they did it feel like they were just injected there for the sake of it. A bit like an afterthought. I think this is the whole problem for me. This really should have been wrapped up last season. Right. Too much retreading of the same story. Essentially, it's just Homelander going crazy again the whole season.
That's a crazy scene, Slipknot. You should go back and watch that episode. Homelander's a beast, dude. He's up there with like Thanos and like Get Me a Gas, say like villains who like believe they're right, or maybe Homelander not caring whether he's right or wrong. But he's an amazing actor.
Yeah, and I've got to give a shout out to Mother's Milk again. This totally unrelated, nothing to do with the show, but it's for the music references. For the mad hip hop hoodies throughout the season.
Yeah, the hip hop. So Mother's Milk, I brought this up.
That's awesome, man.
Wall Street. Mother's Milk is like a random hip hop head, so he wears like Public Enemy shirts, Dead Prez, NWA. He's known to wear like just hip hop rap group shirts or MC shirts. Which is cool, little hip hop reference in the boys. It's always cool to see that. So like, I just want to talk like a little bit like. So I thought Gaz liked season 1 and 2. I did think those were awesome. Season 3 I thought was the best because of that Homelander, Billy the Butcher, Soldier Boy fight at the end of the last episode of season 3. Like Gaz was saying, I thought that was really the peak of the show, and it ended on such a high note. It kind of creates a difficulty because it's like, okay, you're expecting something really insane after that. And that moment never comes in season 4 that really competes with that Homelander, Soldier Boy, Butcher fight. You're waiting for it to get back to that. And then they kind of leave it on a cliffhanger ending. Tune in for season 5. As if you guys have been watching the show for a couple of years, you obviously know I hate cliffhanger endings. But we'll get into where it goes. So episode 1, Department of Dirty Tricks. The CIA tasks the boys to assassinate Victoria Newman, but the mission goes awry when they are discovered by her superpowered daughter, Zoe, who attacks the group. Ryan learns that Butcher has approximately 6 months to live due to his usage of V24. At CIA headquarters, Butcher reunites with Joe Kessler, an old friend, and another new character. We'll talk about that, guys, who attempts to recruit him to take down the Supes. Homelander, obsessed with his aging and fed up with his sycophant group, recruits Sister Sage, known for being the smartest person in the world, as she says, woman in the world, to join the 7. He and Sage have 3 supporters beaten to death by the Deep and Black Noir. Obviously you saw Homelander kill Black Noir in season 3. We'll discuss that, including Monique's ex-boyfriend, Todd. Sage instigates a riot outside the courthouse when Homelander is found not guilty. A-Train dumps the corpses of Homelander supporters into the riot. Ensuing, the Starlighters are blamed. Butcher arranges a meeting with Newman for the Red River files, but changes his mind at the last second after having a hallucination of his deceased wife, Becca. Huey learns his father has suffered a stroke and reunites with his mother. Huey's father, obviously a famous British actor, Gaz, the dude from Shaun of the Dead. He also plays Scotty in Star Trek. So, I mean, a lot of good talent, a lot of good British talent, a lot of good New Zealand talent. The whole thing here, as Gaz was saying, is like the Homelander sycophants are essentially like, the Trumpian MAGA. The Starlighters are essentially like the liberals. So it plays off of a lot of modern American politics, which I don't mind. I mean, I think if that's your backdrop, go ahead and use it. I just think it could have been used in better ways. We haven't talked to any Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who I do think is a genius level actor, guys. I saw probably 4 or 5 articles of hyping this up. Jeffrey Dean Morgan joins the cast of The Boys season 4. What's your opinion on Jeff Dean Morgan? Did it do it for you? Did Joe Kessler put it over the edge for you? Did you not care?
He was good, to be fair. He's a great actor. So he did have that good presence. He was the more interesting dynamic than him talking to his wife, who has been in a lot of other series. I think the kind of TV series of the Shooter. I think she was in that. It's an old school Mark Wahlberg movie. It's not bad, actually. Check it out, folks. So yeah, I thought he was pretty good. Look, he's not a main character or anything, as they all were saying. But yeah. I thought he was all right. It was quite decent. And
good cameo. I mean, I like him a lot, as you guys know him as the comedian in Watchmen. Of course, you guys know him as Negan in The Walking Dead. He does a lot of westerns. For sure, a genius level actor. I don't know that he was used to his full capacity, guys. We'll kind of get to Butcher's hallucinations, so to speak. I do want to, since I'm going to essentially tell you guys that this is my favorite show, and then subsequently tell you that I don't really like this season. I do want to pitch something typical Ross, right? You can't win with this show.
It's all right. I'll do the slating for you because I don't like it.
Yeah. So I do want to mention something I did watch before me and Gaz started, which was Butcher, a short film. It's on YouTube. I don't know if it's on Amazon. It does provide a little bit of background into Butcher's. I don't know if you've seen or heard of this, guys. It does provide a little bit of background into Butcher's origin. So essentially, Butcher is ex-SAS. That's what he's supposed to be made up as an elite. When the dude calls him, he goes to his former serviceman friend's house to help track his wife. I think this is like a prequel to season 1. And the dude calls him Bootneck, which they were it's like a nickname for the Royal Marines guys. So he's essentially supposed to have either SAS and or Royal Marine background, or perhaps both. Like maybe starts in the Marines and gets recruited to SAS. So Butcher's there with his former friend. He goes and takes a shower and changes. When he comes out, his friend's ratting on him to the government. They get in a fight. The dude draws on him. It's like a 5-minute short, guys. So I don't think I'm ruining much for you. Butcher disposes of him, douses the place in gasoline and lights it on fire. And then as Butcher's driving away, Frenchie calls him on the phone. That's essentially it. It was interesting. I mean, I like Butcher. I think he's, probably between Butcher and Homelander, probably my 2 favorite characters.
Butcher for me.
Butcher doesn't really get that much shine in season 3, guys. I thought I expected to see a lot more of him. I mean, a heavy story arc with him and his son, Ryan. We'll get into that dynamic. But I expected to see more Butcher. Granted, he's dealing with the complications of the V24, the passing out from the headaches, the 6 months to live from the brain tumor. So that's pretty much the heavy thing that they hammer home with Butcher. Just a lot of him dealing that. I think he does start drinking again, guys, because he knows it's the end. Yeah. So a little bit of that, some emotional turmoil. Let's see. So that's basically everything in episode 1. I'm not sure if you had anything else, guys, or we can move on to 2.
Not really, just the same as you, man. So I think we can go straight into Ep 2.
Life among the Septics. Butcher tells the boys his remaining time to live and is kicked out. However, Butcher tracks them and helps them spy on Sage, who's recruiting alt-right Soup Firecracker at TruthCon. Butcher and Mother's Milk fight, causing the former to leave. Their plan is thwarted when Sage, Firecracker, and Splinter intervene. Sage leaves and a fight ensues. Butcher returns and kills Splinter, and Firecracker flees in the aftermath. Guilty over his actions, A-Train gives Huey and Annie files exonerating the Starlighters accused of the murder. Homelander and Sage organize Ryan's first public mission, a scripted rescue. The mission ends awfully when Homelander appears to off-script and shocks Ryan into killing the stuntman disguised as a criminal. Butcher opens up to Mother's Milk and attempt to rejoin the boys to no avail. Maybe better than episode 1, guys. So I believe is this the human centipede sequence when they come across that guy in the bathroom?
Man, that was disgusting. It's this one or the next one, I think. Yeah, and that was just. Oh man, that's one of my criticisms. This show's just full of really weirdo.
It's disgusting. I mean, it's Eric Kripke. The way he doesn't care, like, bro, like, I'm just gonna tell you guys right now.
Weird, man.
They do a massive story arc. You know how Homelander drinks milkshakes and he drinks milk glasses. Guys, they do a massive story arc where Firecracker takes chemicals to produce natural female milk and Homelander drinking straight out of the teat. I mean, they double down on that. You got to watch that 4 or 5 times. And the big thing is Eric Kripke just loves putting people in these uncomfortable situations as actors. So like when he knows like Anthony Starr probably wasn't a big fan of that, then he probably wrote it like 10 times into the script just to screw a star. So he does things like that. He's a weird guy. I mean, I don't think anything's more weirder than Herogasm, that orgy from season 3, guys. I mean, nothing really can go past that, but there's some weird stuff in this season too. We're gonna.
That's the whole problem with it. It was just there was a lot of that cringe weirdness, which for me just felt like it was randomly interjected.
Forced, just like
it didn't.
Nothing's going on, so here it is.
And I just thought, I'm tired of this, man. I've seen it for 3 seasons. As people probably gather, I'm not really a big fan of this show, and I'll be glad when it finally ends. Hopefully,
I just like Homelander. I like the sci-fi action. I mean, another thing I want to bring up is like, as far as new characters at the time went in season 3, Soldier Boy, revealed as Homelander's father. He's kind of like a World War II Homelander prototype created by Vought. I thought he was like one of the better characters. I waited this whole season for him to show up because of that massive fight at the end of 3 that I referenced.
And, you did see him for a second.
So it never really comes. Me and Gaz will address that. But here's where I think they went wrong, Gaz. So Soldier Boy cameos in Gen V. And I feel like they had Soldier Boy and Homelander cameo in Gen V because there was really nothing going on in Gen V, and they were these super like forgettable high school characters or college, whatever they were supposed to be that you didn't care about. Like, I'm not against younger actors, guys, if they build them up as like some vigilante badass. Like, honestly, I think that Ryan, Homelander's son, or technically Butcher's son, has the potential to be a sick character once the actor grows up, if the boy's still going at that time, which I doubt it will be. But so they kind of like blew their load so to speak, at having Soldier Boy be in Gen V. And then I'm like, okay, so you don't get him in season 4 of the main series? Like, what sense is it? They all know he's a fan favorite character. So and now you wasted him in this show that probably only 30% of the Boys fans actually watched, and then you don't get him in the main series. It seemed like a misstep. If that's Eric Kripke, I'm sorry, guys. I don't agree with every situation.
Well, it is. I mean, the actor Jensen, sorry for butchering name, Jensen Ackles, I think it is. He was in a show called Supernatural which ran pretty much forever. So, and he appeared in Smallville as well. So he's got quite a cult following. So people know him.
A pedigree of superhero.
Yeah, and he's not a bad actor either. So, yeah, that is a waste because he was an interesting actor. I will say this: I'll give it this. This is one of the positives. Are the actors, the characters, the superheroes, Homelander, the Deep, as annoying and obnoxious as they always have been? Yes, and do you want Billy Butcher to take them down ASAP? Yes, and then thankfully I can escape and have to sit here sharing my misery about the boys anymore, which Ross will delight in. But I'll give it that. That is testament the actor's performance that they really do get to you. They bring up that, man, I want Butcher to take them down so bad. So
100%.
That's good. They're quite memorable. Noah has some okayish moments, which we'll get into. I guess I feel he was injected as the comic relief, but I'm not quite sure that kind of always worked. You have the Bullet and South Park moments between him and the Deep, bro.
Yeah. I kind of like their dynamic. They have a little fight in Starlighter headquarters. Noir doesn't do much. So here's what happened, guys. You saw Homelander kill Noir in season 3. So what happens is Vought essentially replaces Noir with an actor or basically a stand-in guy. It's basically just a random guy in the Noir suit. So he kind of just needs to do what Homelander kind of tells him to do. So Noir is back, and they never really, you got to think like Vought controls the media, right? So the general population probably doesn't even know that Black Noir died. They just see the guy in the same suit and assume that it's the same guy. So it's like, that's kind of what Gaz is getting at there is like, you don't really get much of the Noir mythos the way, they talked about Noir's origin and his background and stuff in the previous season. It's kind of just like a very stand-in guy. And you just kind of have like a bro-y dynamic with the Deep, as Gaz was saying. So let's see. Oh yeah, so I did like that fight with the multiplicity clone dude, which when I referred to the human centipede earlier, guys, Frenchie and I believe Mother's Milk look into the sauna, and this guy is in a chain of himself eating each other's asses and jerking off to a picture of Starlighter. He's like her helper or whatever. So anyway. Hey, we're discussing the boys. I didn't write it. I'm not Eric Kripke, guys. Sorry about that. We're just telling you what was in the season. As guys said, it's a little bit weird. If you don't want to hear us talk about the boys, feel free to tune out. But that ensues in a massive fight in the ballroom next door to the Truth Con. It's kind of like an InfoWars style, kind of like conspiracy con. So a lot of jokes about the alt-right and crap there. But they have a massive fight with the clone guys. A big shootout. I forget what Butcher kills him with. Was it crowbar or something?
It's under his throat, and then you get one of the other clones, kind of pops up for a second, and says, "Oh no, you got Prime," and then they all die instantly. All the other clones. I think that was it. He says to Firecracker, "Yeah, we always loved you," and then
Yeah. So
it's a decent sequence.
I thought this was one of the better fights, just because Mother Milk and Butcher were screwing guys. I think they left Butcher to die, right? But then they came back and saved him. I think maybe Mother's Milk or someone. But bro, it's a crazy show, Slipknot. Like, you're just gonna have to deal with this one. So as Gaz said, when they killed, so they can keep respawning essentially until Prime dies, and when they killed Prime, that cut his character off. So that was one of the new characters. You guys are welcome to draw your own conclusions on that. I do want to talk a little bit about the Homelander's pushing Ryan to be a soup. Like one of the 7, in fact. And so what they do is part of what Vought does, because you guys know it's all fake. It's like a mixture between like kind of a spoof of the Justice League. But a lot of what the 7 do and the soups is fake, because it's also a media company. So it's like kind of both sides of production. So a lot of the missions they do are just stunt actors, where like when they need good press, they go out there and kind of do a fake mission, and it's like Homelander and the 7 or whatever saving someone, but all the bad guys are really stuntmen. None of it's really real. So they set up one of those scenarios for Ryan, and they have the stuntmen, kind of ready to attack and stuff. They're gonna like Ryan's gonna get his first press. What up? Appreciate you, Darkside.
Thanks for coming through,
shout out to Darkside and Jerome. Mysteries of Mr. Belgique. Go subscribe over there. I might be on their Monday panel talking Lake Herman Road, which the anniversary was yesterday. Maybe talk about a little Zodiac before we get out of here, and some Usyk Fury. So the dude is there. Homelander tells him to just like hit him for real, like push him for real. Like he's looking at Homelander like, what should I do? But Ryan can't control his strength yet, right? We all know that he's not like a seasoned soup. So he pushes the dude. The dude goes flying into a wall and splatters. And Homelander tells him, like, essentially, like, good job. Like, that's what Homelander wants out of him. Like, he essentially is telling him the whole season that, like, humans are peasants, they're peons, they're toys, they're here for our amusement. So it's just like collateral damage. Like, Homelander doesn't care that Ryan actually killed a human. And that sets up the juxtaposition between, like, Butcher's mentoring of Ryan and Homelander's mentoring of Ryan. Like, Butcher just wants Ryan to be, like, a normal kid, a normal guy, recognize, the value of life and all that stuff. Homelander has a much different opinion because he sees himself as a god, you know what I mean? So it's just some interesting dynamic there, guys.
Yeah, and the way in later episodes, the way Ryan's arc develops, it looks like he's gonna go. I'm gonna reference another movie here, which definitely his character reminded me of. It appears for now in season 5 that Ryan is gonna go full Brightburn.
Yeah.
Or of course, the twist will be, well, can Billy turn him back? Is he going to flip back to the light side, I guess? Right. But he could be, you're right, Ross, he could be an interesting character. Could he be even worse than Homelander?
Exactly.
And then that sets another spin-off after this, and that could happen, or will he turn back to being good? I mean, if no one's seen Brightburn, it came out in 2019, I believe. Check it out. It's essentially kind of like an evil version of the Clark Kent origin story. And that kid I remember that movie ends where the kid's gone full-blown evil and is pretty much just on the loose with loads of the evil villains. It's kind of a bit like the whole team, well, Homelander and his whole team of the boys in that sense. So
he
totally does have an interesting arc. Quite a powerful scene we'll get to when they do kind of hint that he could go full Brightburn, and that's regarding Aunt Grace, but I'll wait till we get there.
Yeah, and another reference Gaz make, it's a bit similar to the Star Wars sequence of when Luke is in Return of the Jedi with the shadow on half of his face, and Vader and Emperor telling him, like, your friends are not going to make it. Just join us. Join the winning side. Very like pick a side, basically, as Gaz was saying. And I don't think Ryan is that bad of an actor, honestly, for a kid his age and how he kind of grew up.
Yeah, he's not bad, actually.
He's actually coming out better than a lot of especially the Gen V actors. I think he's essentially better than every single one of them. Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of dynamic there. And then Firecracker, as we said, she's kind of a pseudo female. Alex Jones has some history with Starlight, which we'll get into. Episode 3, we'll keep the red flag flying here. Each episode has looks like a different writer and a different director, which is interesting. And it kind of shows. I don't know if the Hollywood writer's strike affected this season or not, but feels like it did. Homelander introduces Sage and Firecracker as new members of the 7 and appoints Sage as the new CEO, replacing Ashley, who is reduced to mascot status. Butcher meets with Kessler, and they devise a plan to kidnap Ryan. The former arranges a meeting with Ryan with the intent of drugging him, but they instead spend time bonding together. Mother Milk recruits A-Train as a spy, who reluctantly accepts. I thought they blackmailed him for something that he did. I can't remember what. Frenchie and Kimiko go on a mission to destroy a Shining Light Liberation Army cell. During the mission, a drugged Frenchie hallucinates about his past while an old acquaintance confronts Kimiko. Annie confronts Firecracker, who reveals that she holds a grudge against her because of a rumor she spread that ruined her career. Yeah, so they were in the pageant circuit together. Obviously, like Starlight has that like model origin, and they, obviously Annie, Firecracker was like, I guess, a heavier girl, and Annie hated on her in her younger days, and that's kind of the history between them. There's really not that much to it beyond that. Huey and Mother's Milk infiltrate a meeting between Homelander and Newman and Sage to assassinate President Robert Singer, which goes awry when Homelander detects and attempts to kill Huey. A-Train rescues him. Huey's mother, Daphne, reveals that depression and a suicide attempt led her to departure. Ryan returns home only to be confronted by Homelander for visiting Butcher, results in Homelander having a mental breakdown. I believe Homelander like lasers his whole house and like everything. That was actually cool. I like that. When he showed up, Homelander was like staring out the window of the skyscraper. He was pissed at Ryan. Ryan obviously leaves because he can't deal with Homelander's like psychotic bullshit.
Yeah, and there's a subtle hint. Again, will they have a confrontation if he does flip back to the light side? If he doesn't go full Brightburn, because both Ryan and Homelander have that stare down, and you think for a second, is Ryan possibly going to fire back? You were expecting kind of a laser eye exchange, and he doesn't. Ryan just walks off. But so it's.
Can Homelander even kill him? We don't know yet.
Yeah, it's one of the interesting dynamics. Yeah, because Ryan is, I think, isn't he the first pure superhero born? That's been born that way. So will he be a lot more powerful? It's looking like it. Yes,
I think he will be. So the other dynamic, as Gaz said, is the Soldier Boy Homelander dynamic, because Soldier Boy doesn't care that Homelander is his biological son. He looks at him as like, you're the second generation, like. They have that conversation at the end of season 3. So Homelander already has this psychosis of like, he has a messed up dynamic with his father from both of them being scientific engineering projects. Then Homelander obviously rapes Ryan's mother, who's Butcher's wife. That creates Ryan as the first natural suit. So it's like, and then it's obviously setting up that Homelander has these kind of like parental issues because he's essentially like a test tube baby. And we do get into Homelander's origin. So a bit more of Homelander's schizophrenic, like attitude. When he looks in the shattered mirror, he has all those different Homelanders talking to him. So he keeps talking to himself in the mirror, and he kind of has like good Homelander, evil Homelanders. They're all kind of telling him different stuff. So I guess they develop Homelander a little bit more in this season. If there's kind of one more compliment I could give it before we get to the several things that I don't really agree with. In this episode, if they were talking about Kimiko's origin of how she's sold into like human slavery, human trafficking, and she goes back with Frenchie. Frenchie took, what did he take again? I forgot. Was it ecstasy, or he took some sort of hallucinogenic? I forgot which one. But he's basically tripping out the whole time. Kimiko goes back there to get revenge on the people who enslaved her, kind of kills them or whatever, gets revenge, and then she runs into someone that she was kind of like forced to fight in the pit fights or whatever, that she has history with, another girl that's like kind of like a similar like style character as Kimiko. One thing I was saying to Gaz off the air is like, I don't get why Kimiko just like, okay, obviously you've been helping Frenchie because like that's her guy, and you've been helping the boys. Obviously they need a soup on their side. They need the extra muscle, but like, they built Kimiko up with a lot of physical power too, right, Gaz? As far as, like she doesn't take a lot of damage. She can regenerate, combat ability and all that. So I was like telling Gaz, like, what was stopping her from just going back and just icing those guys at any point? Because it seems like you came up in that human trafficking ring. Those guys have been alive the whole time since you broke away. And you wait till season 4 to go back there and get your revenge. It was like kind of like the same thing I was saying about Homelander. You could go back there in a weekend and clean those guys out in a day. So, Frenchie will obviously help you, So
it did feel like a bit of an afterthought.
Yeah, right. And I didn't understand that. I was like, I don't particularly mind Kimiko as a character, but I thought they could have did a little bit with more with, like they go back and forth with all these dynamics between these characters, and like a lot of them are these like revenge, story arcs, like me and Gaz were saying, and like they don't all like kind of seamlessly connect the way that kind of people credit, Kripke as the showrunner as being like this genius storyteller. I'm not really seeing it in this season, to be honest. And guys, if you love this season, feel free to jump on. Like, I preferred season 3. Gaz liked 1 and 2. I can totally understand the origin. If you thought this was the best one, hey, hit me in the comments or hit me in the live chat and just let me know like what you like, what you didn't like. If you think I'm way off, I mean, like I said, there's things I like, but I just feel like in season 4, there's more things that outweigh what I like. Also, Huey's mom, Gaz, I found obnoxious, like the way that she took power of attorney over his father.
Yeah,
she wasn't even in the picture.
That was pretty horrible,
that was
wasn't
stupid.
it?
Didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, and then he didn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? I was like, bro, if that was my dad and even my mom who wasn't in the picture, like, bro, I would have did something about that. Like, I don't know what, but I would have did something, you know?
Well, I'm with you. As you know, we've been talking about this off air quite a lot. This is definitely the weakest out of all the seasons so far. Season 5 is going to be the last season. However, will they set it up for this potential Ryan spin-off? Possibly. I haven't heard anything, but that's just something I've been thinking about. We obviously know they've got the Gen V or whatever it's called.
I think you're being too generous on that. Like, I don't think we go until, like, I would like that. I like your idea, though, but go ahead.
It's better than me sat here just being, like, miserable and saying, right, I'm trying to find something positive.
So when they created his prototype art, they called him Homeboy, which is an absolutely hilarious name, like a bit of like a Homelander like spinoff or whatever. Super funny. Obviously, I assume if he grows up and picked, he'd pick his own name or whatever. But so this is what we've heard, right? So this is the whole synopsis, guys. The Boys is a parody of the MCU and the DCU, where they're supposed to take every woke, stupid, mainstream idea that they do over there and spoof it and parody it in The Boys and roast it. And they were doing a really good job of that in the first 3 seasons. The problem is now is they have Gen V, which is like a young actor, corny spinoff that was unnecessary. Then apparently there's a Mexican spinoff. And then the last thing I heard was a Soldier Boy spinoff. Now, that does, like World War II era. Now, that does sound interesting because you guys saw how big of a Sisu fanboy I was in my Sisu review, but it's kind of what I was just saying to Gaz. Like, you use Soldier Boy and Gen V, and then you give him his own thing, where it's like, Jensen Ackles is obviously a genius level actor, but then it's like you don't really get him, like, at least yet. You haven't really got, you had him in season 3, but you didn't really get him in season 4 because they trapped him in Russia or whatever, froze him Captain America style, whatever. So that's what I don't get. Like Gaz was saying, like, you can't parody the DCU, MCU, and then make 3 spinoffs of The Boys and then not really have a closing story arc for Ryan. That none of that is going to work. I'll tell you right now. If that's the way they go, I don't see it panning out.
Yeah, if they milk it too much, which
exactly. Mother's
looks
milk
like that could be, mother's milk it. Yeah, no pun intended. Or even though it kind of was. So disregard that. Just contradicted myself. But yeah, that's a worrying thing, and I just feel. This is my biggest criticism, I guess. We've got season 4, and I just feel this is no disrespect to the actors or anything. It's just like, pretty much Homelander going homicidal full season, killing everyone and everything, literally for nothing at times. And we sit through 8 episodes for kind of evil superhero takeover, and we're still waiting this comeback against it, which looks like Billy Butcher may be more prominent again in season 5, like he's going to be the one who's probably taking a lot of them down and then gets others to help him take Homelander, and then will Ryan flip back to good, say maybe he stands with his dad and then has like a conscience near the end and flips back over. I just feel last season or this one, if wrote better, should have been the last one. Hopefully season 5 delivers. And, we come back saying, hey, look, it was a turnaround. That was just one-off season. It's got back to kind of season 1, season 2, everything's come together and it ends nicely. I hope that's the case. Billy Butcher is one of my favorite characters in the entire show, even though I'm not the biggest fan of this show. But that's more to do with the fact I'm just completely burnt out on superheroes as a whole, and all be people, you've got Spider-Man in the background. Yeah, I know, but it doesn't mean I'm not just burnt out on the whole thing.
I mean, I agree, but where I differ from Gaz is like I like the dark noir elements of The Boys, and I like the fact that it roasts the MCU and the DCU up until the first 3 seasons. Now, when it started replicating the MCU and becoming what it hates, which is what they were doing in season 4, it just goes against everything Kripke wrote. Like I said, you can't make fun of him on one hand and then make Frenchie bisexual in season 4 on the other hand, and replicate everything that Marvel and them do. What up, Pixie? Our bad. We started early because we're trying to make that Usyk Fury fight, and we just trying to get over there. But kind of what Gaz was getting at is the whole 3 seasons, like Butcher's mortal enemy is Homelander, who raped his wife and then took his son away. Then Butcher gets sidelined in season 4, and he is trying to get at Homelander, but as Gaz said, Homelander's power is increasing political and militarily and otherwise, so he's becoming more difficult to take the shot at. So there's kind of no resolution in this season other than Ryan wavering. That's like really the only place we get. I don't even really agree with Homelander giving Sage that much power, because I don't know that Homelander would do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like her whole master plan, it kind of fell flat for me.
Well, here's the thing, right? The whole point in recruiting Sage is supposedly someone who's going to say what they think, not just follow him blindly like the others are.
Yeah,
because everyone is terrified of him because he could just kill anyone just like that. Which he does. So he supposedly brings Sage in to kind of mastermind this whole kind of coup, I guess, and take over. But there was one where they were up in the kind of tower, which is, as you said, they've even got the table looking like the Justice League there, that whole parody of it.
Yeah, the seats.
And she's firing back at him. I think it was in one of the mid episodes, maybe at 5 or 6, possibly.
Yeah.
And she's firing back at him, and I just thought, I know he's brought her in supposedly to say what she thinks, but this guy kind of can't take it that far.
He can't control himself. Even if someone
he would have killed her. He would have killed her, and I thought that straight away. So I thought this isn't quite being consistent with how this guy has behaved.
All of a sudden, he has self-control, and we're gonna come to where he goes off right here. So that was 3. So there's a whole thing about Butcher talking to Kessler and how they're going to drug Ryan with the cookies, but him and Ryan end up playing Connect 4, and then Butcher doesn't want to do it anymore, so he dumps him in the trash. And then episode 4, Wisdom of the Ages, Homelander returns to the... Okay, so this is it right here. So this is where Homelander goes off. And this is interesting. I have some questions for Gaz about this. Homelander returns to the Vought lab where he was raised and experimented upon, tormenting the employees before its director, Barbara, intervenes. Daphne's plan to take Hugh Sr. off of light support angers Huey. Annie meets with Singer to strike a deal to take down Vought. Huey and Kimiko secure Compound V from A-Train for Huey's father, but are ambushed by the Shining Light. Mother's Milk and Butcher fail to blackmail Firecracker. But it's a pedophile thing. You guys can watch it if you care to. Who publicly discredits Annie by revealing her decision to have an abortion months prior, leading to a brutal fight that damages. So Annie, Starlight goes off on her, attacks her live on air. Annie's reputation ends her alliance with Singer. Frenchie is attacked by Ezekiel while investigating Firecracker. Butcher intervenes only to be choked unconscious. He awakes to find Ezekiel torn to pieces. It doesn't really show what Butcher's power is because he goes unconscious and then he wakes up with like the dude, the body exploded all over him. He obviously killed him and got out of there, but it doesn't show you how. Butcher tells Huey that he used V to cure his illness, but admits that it failed and accelerated it instead. Interesting dynamic. Frenchie confesses to Colin about killing. So this is what me and Gaz were saying. Frenchie is revealed as, although it's always been insinuated that he's bisexual, he starts dating this guy, Colin. Unfortunately, Frenchie has killed Colin's family in his previous criminal life. So Frenchie confesses to Colin about killing his family and is brutally beaten by him before threatening his life should he see Frenchie again. Huey witnesses his father waking up from his coma after. So Huey has the Compound V in his jacket, and his mom doesn't. He decides kind of like not to give it to him. His mom doesn't know the complications or the consequences, so she puts it in the IV, and that kind of resuscitates Huey's dad. You'll see what happens there. A blood-soaked Homelander leaves Barbara locked in his former observation room with the dismembered corpses of her colleagues. So we'll go into this Homelander stuff a little bit. Homelander goes down to the lab where they created him. They obviously abused him, like we said, a la the test tube baby origin. He brings them the ice cream cake, Gaz. He tells them all it's going to be an ice cream cake party, and then he kind of just goes down the list, saying what each person did to him when he was in captivity there. Ultimately ends up killing them all. His whole thing was to just go down there to kill everybody to get revenge. Yeah. The same thing I said to Gaz about Kimiko was what I said about this. Homelander's completely unhinged. What was stopping him from doing this in episode 1? I get that, you're writing a season, so you're not going to necessarily have every action happen immediately. But like, I felt like Homelander waited like too long to do this. Like Gaz said, he's totally off the Richter. So he could have just got, he has more political power now. Yes. But this is all internal Vought crap in a top secret lab. If Homelander goes down there and kills everyone, Vought is never going to publicly announce that anyway. So they're just going to cover it up like they always do. So
that's how I felt it should have been done in season 1. Particularly, you could have had it as an opener for the first episode. There's your inciting incident. And then, it cuts
and
to...
that sets up Homelander for going off.
Cuts to, say, present-day Homelander stood there. Oh, look, he's the, American hero and everything. And, of course, we've just seen him massacre scientists that were experimenting on him when he was a kid. This, I did think it was kind of it was an interesting arc, but again, it should have been done in season 1. It was interesting to see that background. You knew as soon as he stepped out of that elevator, you knew it wasn't going to be good. Right, this guy's just
when you see him with the cake, it's freaking Homelander. You know what he's going to do. If it's Butcher, sure, he's going to get a cake for the boys, but it's Homelander.
Again, testament to the actor. He really does make you dislike his character so much where it's got to the point where I've had enough of this guy now. I just want Butcher to take him down. I don't want to watch another season of this guy just going homicidal. Now that's testament to the actor.
Right, Anthony Starr. At the same time, though, Shakespearean guys, because he's justified in what he's doing, they tortured him. So I would say it's the Frankenstein story, creating the monster you can't control.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just meaning in the sense of him just going off again the entire season.
Oh, being out of control, sure.
Yeah, it has to be wrapped up next season. 100%. We can't have it. We can't have another one where we're just left kind of with a similar thing to past seasons. Nothing's quite resolved.
Homelander does as he pleases, and Butcher's still trying to catch him. It's like a cop and robber story from the 20s, So the scene of Homelander leaving the elevator. So Barbara, who's the project director, he leaves her in the captivity room that he was raised in, like he was in. So I did like what he did to her. I thought that was semi justified. So Homelander leaves with the blood splattered all over his face in the elevator, and he does the smile. I just want to get your reaction to this, guys. On Twitter, everyone was saying that like Anthony Starr deserves like the Emmy for this because it was the most amazing performance ever. Were you that impressed with his performance?
Okay.
Was it the best thing you've ever seen him do?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No.
That's what I thought.
Right, like as I said,
it was a good scene, not the best he's ever done.
Yeah, it was a good scene, good acting. That made you have the guy who plays the Deep. Anthony Starr again as Homelander, they do bring out that kind of revulsion in you for their characters. So yes, but is this like Oscar worthy or something? That's saying no, and
that's how Twitter was painting it. They were saying the smile with the blood on his face was the most impressive performance of all time. Quite frankly, I think his reaction at the end of episode 8 was a better performance. What you referenced earlier, what he saw and the face he made. I thought that was a better performance than the bloody elevator.
Even in the exchange he has, I believe this is possibly, is it episode 7 or 8, where I know I'm getting a little ahead here, guys, so skip this if you don't want to know this spoiler. But when he exposes Newman on live TV, and then they have the exchange walking off. Now that was good. That was really good. He flamed his eyes at her afterwards. Very interesting.
I agree.
Where more or less says, follow the path, toe the line. Get on board, or I'm going to take you out as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you know what? I agree with Gaz. The back and forth dynamic between Homelander and Newman. So what Gaz is referring to is Newman, the courtroom scene at the end of season 2 or season 3 when the head started popping. You know, honestly, I always suspected Newman because she was the only one in the room at the time. I don't think it was that big of a secret. She's obviously exposed as a secret soup, the presidential candidate. Homelander exposes her on live TV, as Gaz was saying right there. So that's kind of kind of sets up tension between them two.
Well, and that's always interesting if you've got a possible president or even vice president who really is some kind of shapeshifter alien or whatever. Because dude, I remember us reviewing this way back in the day. It wasn't on YouTube. Was it Rise of the Cobra where that guy was like the shapeshifter, he's pretending to be the president?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
G.I. Joe movie, wasn't it? And that was quite a good story arc and sequence. So anything
I agree.
Always interesting.
Well, it's interesting, guys, brought that up because there is a shapeshifter in this season of The Boys, and we will come to that dynamic, essentially impostoring Starlight. So yeah, that's the big deal there, guys. I'm sure you've seen the GIF and the still shot of Homelander smiling with the bloody face on Twitter, and people were, I thought it was good. I didn't think it was the best performance Homelander's ever had, but it was good. I did like how he left Barbara in the captivity chamber. That was cool.
It reminds me a little of Stranger Things.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a little bit like
11 being that kind of secret project. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Episode 5, Beware the Jabberwock, my son. After Hugh Sr. wakes up from his coma, Daphne reveals she administered the V. Butcher informs the boys about a virus that kills Soups. And again, Gaz, all of that comes from Gen V. That's where they were developing the virus. And I just felt like I had just watched that entire season of Gen V, so I really didn't want to hear more about the virus in The Boys season 4. Like it was just repetitive, at that point. And then. What up? Do you watch The Boys, Mr. B? That's my guy. Go sub. I'll be with him probably Monday. I think I have the day. I can rock with you, Mr. Belgique, mon ami. Kills the Soups acquired by Newman. He and Mother's Milk visit Stan Edgar in prison, and I believe that is the infamous Carlos. Is it Carlos Esposito? He's the legendary actor villain from Breaking Bad. He plays the Sith in The Mandalorian. I think he's even the villain in Far Cry 6. Like, this dude is like the TV villain, so it's a cool cameo. He's like the former Vought CEO. Before he's also Newman's biological father. So Stan Edgar, virus change for amnesty. The boys and Edgar discover V and the virus being tested. Okay, this is it, guys. The farmhouse. I know that you hated this. I know you hated this episode. I can't wait to get your reaction. The boys and Edgar discover V and the virus being tested on animals in a farmhouse where Newman arrives as well. After being attacked by the mutated farm animals, they locate Dr. Samir Shah, who has the last remaining sample of the virus, but are forced to use it to kill a herd of mutated sheep. Afterwards, Samir goes missing, presumed dead. Mother's Milk returns Edgar to prison, but Newman frees him. Empowered and mentally confused, Hugh Sr. kills patients at the hospital, but soon's returned to his sense. It's obviously because they administered the V. Huey ends his life peacefully. Homelander declares the Seven will now be wrathful gods for the greater good in the presence of Robert Vernon, Tech Knight, Kate Dunlap, and Samp Rodian. VNN anchor Cameron Coleman is framed as the leak by Ashley and killed by the Seven. Racked with guilt, Frenchie surrenders to the police. And again, it was really the Frenchie story arc that kind of killed this season for me. I thought he was a decent character before this, but they just were unfocused with him. That's how I felt, guys. I just felt the Frenchie storyline was just unfocused. Butcher reveals to Kessler that Samir is alive and he is kidnapped to replace the virus. So I'll just wrap it up real quick, and then we'll get your farmhouse reaction, guys. Butcher cuts off Samir's leg and he leaves it there, so they think Samir's dead, but Butcher actually took him to another lab to recreate more samples of the virus.
Yeah, and that's when you see Jeffrey Dean Morgan stood in the background, kind of smiling when you see Samir, and he's obviously got his leg half missing. That was quite well acted scene actually by Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, both of them. And I even liked Butcher, where I thought we lost some steam, like much like the Hero-gasm. Like, I think we got a little bit too goofy with the flying cows and the flying cheese. Got a little bit away from, it was funny for one watch. This is probably not something I could go back and rewatch, though. But I'm guessing it drove you nuts, Gaz.
Yeah, man. I mean, you see, you've got flying killer cows, a killer bull, killer chickens. Chickens where it starts off and you're thinking, okay, and then it just gets more ridiculous and more ridiculous. And I'm like, okay, so now it was kind of like the Sci-Fi channel that took over creative for this episode, because you know how a Sci-Fi channel, it's essentially stoners making movies, which isn't always a bad thing because they can be hilarious. Yeah,
except when the stoner is Eric Kripke and he has basically an unlimited budget for The Boys on Prime, and he does this with it. I agree with what Gaz said.
I was not
It's good for one or two gags. Give us a mutated chicken, give us a mutated sheep, give us a mutated cow, and I'm good at that. Like how they were chasing them down the road, and that they had to come out of the. It reminded me of it seems like Poultrygeist from Trauma, or one of the Sci-Fi Channel movies, like Gaz was saying. Like I felt we got too far off the reservation with what is the boys, and then you're trying to take, I know they have this comedic relief in the boys, as Gaz said, but you're trying to take Butcher and his illness seriously. You're trying to take the virus storyline seriously. Then you've got a serious actor like this dude from this Breaking Bad. Like, how do I always forget this guy's name? This is embarrassing. This guy's like super famous. Obviously, Eccles is my boy. It didn't even come up, but you guys know who I'm talking about. The dude from Star Wars and Breaking Bad. And so that guy's usually in super serious projects, and then he's in this episode, and really nothing about this episode is serious. So it just kind of lost steam for me. I quite frankly, I thought as far as like comedic value, I thought the Hero Gasm episode was way funnier than this. Like this was okay, but it just, and then obviously the stuff with Huey's father is semi-interesting. He's obviously got the ability to run through walls, but doesn't know how to control it because he was actually, formerly a human. He had never been a suit before. So he ends up superimposed into that guy's body in the chair and gets stuck inside another person that he ends up killing. So that's kind of why Huey has to kill him. And again, it just made me despise Huey's mom more, because I'm like, you have been like trash to this family. Then you just gave Huey Sr. the V, and you didn't know what it was going to do. It just shows like complete absence of judgment from that character. I'd say she's an okay actress because she made me not like her at all, but I despised her character. You know what I mean? I just did.
That's pretty much how I was. I feel we'd gone too far off the tracks with that episode. It was getting more ridiculous and more ridiculous. Definitely with that actor, man, dude's been in an insane amount of shows. Very memorable speaking voice as well.
He's super dope. I love Huey Sr. I mean, the way they introduced him, and he's always been a cool character to Huey. Like he was calling Huey that one time earlier on, and Huey ducked his call, and I think he was calling to tell him that he was had the illness, right? So just a lot of personal stuff between Huey and his father. I think Huey's a pretty good actor too. Forget that kid's name.
To be honest, the acting overall is fine. I mean, there's some who are obviously more standouts and are definitely more solid, but overall the acting is decent. And
I agree.
They've been seen throughout. They do a good job of making you develop revulsion for the Seven. There's no doubt,
and that's the whole point of the
exactly. And so there's no doubt.
They're not superheroes. They're not superheroes that you like. They're the exact opposite. So.
So there's no doubt in that. But you kind of are a bit frustrated now that we're fourth season in, where you feel kind of, I suppose, the real heroes, Butcher and his crew, are starting to make some progress, and then it's kind of just a reset. And some people may like that, want to see how they're going to overcome this latest obstacle. But for me, it's still too much of a retread. We've had 3 seasons. A little repetitive. I want to see some actual progress now. You could have lost a couple of members of the Seven, like the Deep could have gone in this season. It could be even if Homelander left by himself for season 5 with just Ryan. And he's kind of got Ryan flipped, as I say. He's made Ryan go Brightburn, as I was saying, so many ways.
They've just gone too slow. We're not at that point, as you said. So it's repetitive. Maybe season 5, but I agree with Gaz. I mean, I thought with Mother's Milk realigning the CIA, they would get like the government backing and maybe some more Spec Ops help, because with them 3, like Mother's Milk, Huey, Butcher, and Frenchie is a Frenchie's useless in the season. Frenchie doesn't do anything. So it's like Gaz said, with 3 humans, how are you really going to take on the 7? There's really nothing. They can't beat them in a fight, because they don't have the power and the strength. So it's like, that's kind of where we're at. We'll go to episode 6, Dirty Business. This one's actually pretty funny, guys. That sex dungeon in Tech Knight's house, and I gotta be honest, Tech Knight is a freaking hilarious character, bro.
I hate this.
Yeah, Gaz would hate this stuff. The boys learn that Tech Knight is hosting a party at his mansion with Newman and the 7 in attendance. They infiltrate the party by disguising Huey as the suit web weaver. when Tech Knight discovers Huey's identity and attempts to torture him. They enter the mansion and rescue Huey. Mother Milk shoots Sage in the head right before he has a panic attack. One kind of useless thing, guys, is Sage has been hooking up with Noir and Deep, and she's been having them lobotomize her so she can't be smart. And then she just like binging on like fast food like Panda Express and Outback and hooking up with the Deep. So what this sets up is when Mother's Milk shoots her, it hits her in that spot, like the frontal lobe, but her frontal lobe regenerates. So instead of dying, it just makes her really stupid for a couple hours, which is, okay. I mean, you see it a couple times. There's Wall Street. Yeah, no, bro, you weren't the only one. He annoyed me out of my mind too. Guy drove me crazy. A-Train saves Mother's Milk, rushing him to the hospital, and Sage survives. Annie and Kamiko save Huey and restrain Tech Knight. The three antagonize Tech Knight until he reveals that Homelander and Sage plan to use his prisons as internment camps. He's from like an old money family, guys, right? I think is it privatized prisons. So he's kind of like some elitist kind of whatever Illuminati guy. Homelander and Newman convince the senators to rally against Singer. Firecracker tells Homelander about her encounter with Annie, realizing that the leak is still alive. Meanwhile, Butcher forces Samir to replicate and make the virus strong enough to kill Homelander. When Samir reveals that a virus that strong would likely mutate and destroy every soup on Earth, Butcher is pressured by Kessler to continue. When Kessler abruptly lashes out at Butcher's hallucination of Becca, Butcher remembers that Kessler is also long dead and the hallucinations are played out, the internal conflict of his V-tumored brain. So there it is, guys. That's the reveal. It's a bit of a Fight Club ending. Much how Edward Norton, Tyler Durden, he sees Brad Pitt as Tyler Durden, a figment of imagination. Kessler is actually a figment of Butcher's imagination. He talks to, as Becca and Kessler are talking to Butcher, Kessler answers Becca, which means he can see her too, which means they're both in his head. So I don't know how you felt about that reveal, guys. I thought that was kind of like a misuse of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I would have rather just seen him be a regular, real character.
It was a bit. That was a little disappointing because, as I say, his performance is really good. Yes, we would like to see him more prominent in the show. I think people are used to me being eternally miserable about everything. As Pixie would say, wow, Gaz is actually smiling, talking about something for once.
Yeah, just because we're roasting something. So, I don't know, guys. I mean, I would have liked Jeffrey Dean Morgan just as a real character. Kessler was cool. He was supposed to be like a CIA vet that was like an affiliate to Butcher's SAS. And I liked where they were going with that, to just go, and I get it. His brain is decomposing because of the V virus and the cancer. So it is what it is. But the whole Tech Knight thing at the sex party. So Huey's disguised as Web Weaver. He's chained to the table, and he's like, hey, is this getting you off? And he's like, my boxers are like, they're so hard right now. They're like peanut butter. If you touch them, they'll shatter. Some of the lines are hilarious though. And then of course Ashley. I thought Ashley did this was my favorite season from Ashley. I won't lie about that. She was down there whipping him as the dominatrix or whatever.
Oh, so. Dude, yeah, the sense of that, dude. I just look, man. If you're into that thing, folks, I'm not. I just found the whole thing mad cringe, cringe. Yeah. And I was just like watching. Well, I nearly destroyed the mic. I was just like watching this, thinking, oh man, what now? And it's just like, man, this. Yeah,
it just gets worse and worse. It's the boys. When Kripke can't do something more ridiculous and more cringe, he always finds a low to sink to. I will say about Tech Knight, he was introduced in Gen V. I did like they did the whole convention, the whole tech talk thing of how they're announcing the VOT phases and making fun of the MCU phases. I did think that landed, although as I said, it's a little difficult to make fun of the MCU when they're replicating the same woke stuff that they do. But when I know you like this line when he was like, hey, he's like, my last Tech Knight solo film came out a year ago. He's like, you know what that means? Reboot. I was like, I mean, that is Hollywood right there, though. I mean, Gaz has to agree with that. So
Wall Street, have you heard of this? The Thunderbolts, I think, drops in February next year. That's Punisher's kind of Spec Ops team, and they're probably going to ruin that. I've got the books, and the books are dope, but we know they're going to probably PG-ify it or
are they going to use Bernthal for that Punisher?
I'm not sure. They've got him, man, because they're connected to him. Supposedly, I think the Red Hulk's in it, who's very annoying. But I'm just like, man.
The rumor is Bernthal's Punisher film will be R, so it'd be very difficult to have him be R and then have that Thunderbolts be like G or whatever their plan is.
Yeah, well, hopefully it is R, and they don't just overload it with that Marvel cheese humor, which then is obviously the way the capacities are. Hence why Deadpool, it's got probably a year slip. Deadpool would probably flow into this universe quite well. And there was a point with this where I referenced the Thunderbolts, which I was going to compare with the boys. It was going somewhere that was genuine, Rosh, but I've just butchered it. So that's evaporated.
I thought of something. When I stole Gaz's name for the Rashomon episode, just completely random PXF trivia here. How did I not call myself Rossamon? Oh, my God. It's such a
Rossamon, there you go.
I should have called myself Rossamon for the Rashomon review. Anyway, I hope that helped you remember that, Gaz. Anyway. It's completely curveball. So, and the other thing he said too, when Tech Knight was talking about like rebooting his own movie, he's like, it's been a year. He's like, you know what that means? Reboot. He's like, how about a soundtrack full of Nirvana hits? You know what that was?
Dude, just
you know what he was talking about there. He was making fun of the Batman. He was obviously making fun of the Batman.
Of course he was. And when we were talking about, as I said, this season was like somebody farted in a turd-shaped box. I was obviously referring to heart-shaped box.
Oh, nice! I missed that.
Song of the season. I
thought Tech Knight was funny. You know, he was obviously a BDSM weirdo, but it was what it was. He's a funny character. And then they're kind of doing this whole like kind of oligarchical, Illuminati thing with all the kind of Mason dudes meeting up at the mansions and having the kind of parties.
The head guy of that kind of Illuminati meeting, I think wasn't he the Speaker of the House of Representatives?
I believe so. Yeah.
He was pretty good. I know he only had a few minor roles, but that actor actually was pretty decent.
Yeah, I thought so too. I agree.
He shone. I mean, Ashley, dropping a spoiler, she does get kind of possibly an interesting arc. Which does this lead us into the next episode? Where
episode 7. Honestly, like I said, I've always thought she's a good actor in terms of like the role that she was like the Vought propagandist. We'll say, Gaz, for lack of a better phrase. And I always thought she'd done good in the show, but I really thought, whereas some of the main characters, as Gaz said, were not like the best in this season. I thought she did good. Actually, where's this fight at? Because I'm assuming you got Fury, Pixie. I just want to make sure okay, they're just doing commentary. Eddie Hearn's up there. Episode 7. Butcher bails Frenchie out of jail to assist Samir with the virus. Mother's Milk gives up leadership of the boys, passes the baton back to Butcher again, considers leaving with Monique and Janine, his daughter. A-Train convinces him not to leave. Oh, I do have to say something about A-Train, too. The boys discover a plan to assassinate Singer that will be carried out by an unidentified suit shapeshifter. Homelander kills... Go ahead.
I was going to say that you love that shapeshifter, especially with her Starlight scenes.
Yeah, we're coming to that. Homelander kills Web Weaver, believing that he is the leak. Huey goes to Newman's house to convince her to stop everything to no avail. Yeah, I don't even know why Huey did that, Gaz. I think that was a bit of a waste of a scene. Newman's not going to do that. He tried to convince her. Like, Newman's obviously a narcissist. Homelander sends the Deep and Black Noir to kill the boys, starting a fight with Butcher and Annie. So, and I have some feedback on that too. All right, let me break up a couple things before we get to that. So the A-Train movie, so A-Train, they're, each one of the boys has their solo films, like the Vought, media, like essentially think of it as Marvel or Disney. And they each have their solo films as well as the 7 solo films. And A-Train's movie, they have a Will Ferrell cameo.
Will Ferrell cameo,
This was hilarious. Yeah. Will Ferrell plays himself as an actor. And he comes in, he's like, come on, A-Train. He's like, he goes to the projects. He's like, come on, A-Train. He's like, come back to the suburbs with me. It's like the most like racist white thing that you've ever seen. And then when A-Train was talking to those guys, he's like, I didn't have a white coach. He's like, my brother trained me. So what they did with that, and that's why that Jesse, who plays A-Train, is the man. And A-Train, this for sure was A-Train's season to shine. He did a lot of cool stuff. I really did like his story arc as well. So in this fight, Noir and Deep go to the Starlight headquarters and they basically jump the boys. Yeah. This was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen because even though it's Starlight, like, dude, she's got a bunch of humans working there. They have absolutely no security. There's no soups defending them except for Starlight, and her powers have been like zapped for the whole season, so she can't even use her. So you get attacked by 2 members of the 7, and there's like nobody there to do anything about it in terms of security. I thought that was just stupid. Yeah, it's like they should have had something, private security, even regular human guards, anything. Just stop people at the door. But they let them walk right in and start beating the crap out of everybody. I was just like, bro, come on, man. I get it's the boys, but come on, man. Could we have some kind of realism?
Yeah.
Wall Street's right about that.
I really did think Billy Butcher was totally gonna flip again and rip one of them apart, but obviously we don't see that till the next when he was saying, Kessler, come on, help me, and then Starlight. Heavy spoilers here, guys. And Starlight realizes, okay, Butcher's got some kind of powers, or he's either been taken, there's something there.
Yeah.
And I really did think that was going to happen. It didn't. I must admit, I did find that minigun scene funny.
No, that was awesome. That was sick. That was the best part. That was the best part that happened in there. Whoa. Who are these guys? Is this? No, it's just highlights of the last fight. Sorry, guys, we're super tapped in to see what's going on.
We are.
So we're gonna bounce as soon as that pops off. So they're saved by A-Train and Mother's Milk infuriated. But this is the thing, guys. If A-Train didn't show up, they would have got washed in that fight because they don't have the strength to take on.
Yes, because Kamiko wasn't there, French isn't there.
Right. Yeah. They don't have the strength to take on Deep and Noir. Tired of being used by Vought and Homelander's manipulation, Ryan gets fed up, and Gaz alluded to this. Interrupts a live. Oh no, we're going to talk about that scene. To give a speech and leaves, and Butcher sees that. He passes out at the bar drinking. Frenchie and Kamiko reconcile by telling each other what they blame themselves for before Samir injects Kamiko with a dose of the virus. I mean, that was okay, guys. A little bit predictable, in my opinion. He has prepared and escapes, and like him escaping, I thought was like a kind of far-fetched, but whatever. It's a TV show. Frenchie saws off her legs so the virus does not spread. She can regenerate, as you guys know. Butcher passes out in a bar. Annie wakes up to find herself shackled in a room somewhere, realizing that she's been impersonated and replaced by the shapeshifter. Kind of
your favorite part of the season, isn't it?
I mean, it was like, I don't know. I mean, I felt it was predictable. I mean, she did certain things. Like when she was with Huey, she wasn't acting like Annie at all. So you knew it wasn't Annie. You know what I mean? It just hadn't been introduced to the shapeshifter yet. I do want to talk about Ryan in the Muppet show that Homelander is the executive producer of. So they're talking about like, what do they call it? Antifa, kind of doing like a Trumpian thing. Like everyone's Antifa. It's like, what's Antifa, Ryan? They're like, well, it could be anyone. It reminded me of like 1984, George Orwell, Big Brother, how they're saying like, hey, if you're a kid, rat on your parents, like, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's telling you that like it's your teachers, it's your parents, like Antifa's everybody around you, right? And they're singing the song. The lyrics of that song that Homelander wrote, absolutely, like this is probably one of the highlights in terms of dialogue. They're like, what's Antifa? They're like, it's your woke principal and his boyfriend Chad. And we were just like, dude. And then at the end, he's like, hey, your dad actually wrote those lyrics himself. So, meaning Homelander wrote that song. I'm sorry, guys. That's funny to me. I don't care if you're a woke Marvel fan. It's funny. I don't care.
Look, as people just get offended over everything, even in comedy. You've got to respect the comedy in there.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't all land.
That was entertaining.
Like Homelander stuff is usually funny, Yeah. So that's freaking hilarious. So Ryan's like, hey, this isn't cool. He's like, I like how Ryan stood up for it. Like he didn't believe it, like agree with it. So he's like, hey, this isn't cool. He's like, yeah, you like that, Pixie? He's like, this isn't cool. He's like, don't talk like that, guys. And then like Homelander gets pissed, or Homelander calls him, right? He's like, hey, buddy. He's like, I heard you're having trouble with the show. He's like, can you just like suck up this one and buck up for me? He's like, Dad's really busy. So Homelander doesn't really back him on not agreeing with wanting to do the show. Yeah, I know Wall Street loved those lyrics.
It gives you, like I've been saying, it gives you kind of another insight into that possible duality. Is Ryan going to go full Brightburn, or will he become Luke? Will he become Luke? Yeah,
I don't know if it was this one or the one before when they were producing the show, but the director of the Seven movie, he keeps creeping on that Asian assistant, and he's like being super weird about it. And him and Homelander, Ryan have that dynamic, and he's like, Ryan's like, hey, he's like, I want to help people. He's like, hey, are you uncomfortable? Is this guy bothering you? You could tell me. And he's like, that guy's trying to bribe Ryan, and Homelander's like, give him your wallet. He's like, give him your keys to your Jaguar. And Ryan's just like, no. And he's like, yeah. Homelander's like, yeah, dude, you can't buy him off. Like that was, I like that dynamic. That was a cool part. They were drinking the milkshakes or whatever. So then Homelander tells like Ryan to tell the girl to like slap him, right? The guy like gets down on his, it's like a humiliation. And the assistant gets to like humiliate him and kind of slap him. But like Homelander's trying to turn him to the dark side as Gaz was just saying there. So it looks like we might be getting close here. I don't know if we're getting close to walkouts. Gaz, they're still showing highlights. One episode to go, people. Season 4 finale, Assassination Run. We both have a little bit on this. So our boy Kripke, he comes back and he directs this one, Gaz. So the boys fans love Eric Kripke. So let's see how he does here. While Butcher recovers, Mallory and Ryan visit him, where the latter is told of Homelander's crimes and that he must kill him. However, Ryan refuses, accidentally kill. Oh, I like this scene a lot, though. We're going to talk about this, guys. Ryan refuses, accidentally kills Mallory, and leaves, causing Butcher to embrace the dark side of Kessler. So essentially, the CIA's plan is to, as Gaz was saying, turn Ryan against Homelander and use him as the one weapon that can maybe stop Homelander. But when Mallory is like, what? She's the director or whatever. She's at least the project agent of this anti-suit project. So she essentially tells Ryan, like, what I like about that Homelander captivity scene is this sets up what the CIA is trying to do to Ryan. They're trying to make him Homelander too, as Gaz was saying. Yeah. So he essentially says, like, hey, let me think about it. I don't want to do that. Mallory tells him you have no choice. Well, you don't say that to Ryan, right? So he doesn't mean to kill her. We don't really know. He kind of just push her out of the way so he can escape. She's about to hit the alarm to capture Ryan. When Ryan shoves her against that wall, though, she does expire and unalive herself. So Ryan ends up killing her, unfortunately. But I thought that was a powerful scene. As Gaz said, Ryan is one of the characters whose story arc really starts to pan out in this season, whereas a lot of the main characters are kind of like Gaz said, you've seen it all before, right? So, but Ryan gets a little bit more substance.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely. That's what does stand out amongst all of the cast for sure. All right, okay, so that's interesting. I could maybe use that for some of my
good stuff
mixing.
Yeah,
right,
anything on that, guys?
No. If our mind is wandering a little bit, we have got like one eye on the Fury fight, so that's why we're both kind of slipping into another dimension sometimes.
We're invested.
This is so. I've got to ask you this. I'm gonna put you straight on it because I thought, man, you've got to have hated this scene. So the shapeshifter who's masquerading as Annie January, aka Starlight, and you get that scene when she goes to visit the real Starlight and she's chained up, and you get that whole kind of exchange with them. Was that your favorite part of the entire season? You must have loved that.
I mean, I didn't hate the shapeshifter that much, but the problem is, as I've said, I'm not really a big Starlight fan to begin with. So two Starlights as opposed is like just a little bit more annoying than one Starlight. She does bang Huey in the morning. She dresses up in her Starlight uniform, which Annie has stopped wearing. As Gaz said, Annie's gone back to her human persona, just going by her regular name, and she lost her powers, so she's not really feeling like Starlight. So she dresses up in the costume, which she hasn't worn in like a year, which is like the hint that it's obviously not Annie January. Bangs Huey. She proposes to Huey in the morning. So now Huey has married a shapeshifter that he thinks is his girlfriend, Starlight. That is probably the most interesting thing that happened, Gaz. And then we're coming up to this bunker scene. Butcher causing Butcher to embrace his dark side of Kessler. Homelander tasks the remaining 7 with killing everyone at Vought who has incriminating evidence against them, which is essentially everybody who works at Vought. This is an interesting final scene. A targeted Ashley injects herself with V. We're going to talk about that. While Frenchie develops the virus, the boys monitor Singer in a bunker where they discover Annie as the shapeshifter, and a fight ensues. So it's ultimately Huey that figures it out. The real Annie arrives and kills the shapeshifter. So I'll unpack a couple of these things. So it's essentially Noir and Deep who get the list of all the Vought employees that they go around the office killing everyone. Deep is the one who's like, hey, wouldn't Ashley have the most? Like I like the way like they write her name at the top of the list. Like it's a very like elementary school way to go about creating a list of employees to kill at your own company. You know, very, very like immature. You know what I mean? They do end up killing Ashley's assistant, which is the wrong Ashley. Just the little gag there.
It says everyone's called Ashley.
Yeah. He's like Noir stabs her and isn't Deep like, dude, that's the wrong Ashley.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about that. The bunker stuff. That's where Huey discovers that Annie, that the shapeshifter is obviously Annie. And we're coming to the thing. So if you said that was my favorite scene, Gaz, I'm guessing your favorite scene was the Starlighter versus the shapeshifter fight.
Yeah, man.
You knew I was going to rebuttal that. You
yeah. Oh, of course. Also, that's what it's. I've got to do
our
that.
Show is all about.
That's what it's all about. Oh yeah, it was. Well, you've got Kimiko. It was obviously very good close quarters fighter.
Right.
Seems to get taken out too easily.
I agree.
When Annie all of a sudden, she's become more proficient in that area, I guess. And you see Kimiko waking up because she's, she can regenerate. And I thought she was going to fly in there, man, and tip the scales in Annie's favor.
That's what I thought too.
Annie didn't need it. And I thought you've got a whole kind of MO is this, oh man, I'll keep this polite. This bad, I can't say it because I'll get demonetized probably. So this very good close quarters fighter, and I just didn't feel she was utilized. And again, it was just like kind of a mean girl kind of standoff, wasn't it? It's just like
whenever you have one of these fights where it's like the same actor fighting themselves, there's always we've seen it with like the Van Damme movies, the Jackie Chan movies, where they Arnold Schwarzenegger in Last Action Hero, take your pick. There's always something clunky and CGI about it. It was an okay fight. I watched some SDCC panel where what's her name? Let's see if I can find it. Where Erin Moriarty as Starlight was talking about it, and I guess she did do some semi in-depth like combat training to do the choreography of the fights. I don't want to completely hate on that, but again, it's just kind of one of those like CG fights that you could kind of take or leave. Nothing really that interesting about it. Going to what Gaz was saying, when Homelander reveals that Newman is a soup on air live, she calls on Huey to protect her and Zoe in exchange for help, which there's a lot of like back and forth with the boys where like they screw a character over and then they'll come back to that same character and ask for their help. And it's like, how many times are you going to do that in the universe of the boys? Like you're all enemies. You're all on enemy sideline. So it's like, how many times are we going to let that fly? When the boys at Newman meet, Butcher arrives, kills Newman with his new superpowers, and steals the virus. He's essentially had the back and forth discussions with his imaginary Kessler now that he's just going in. He's just going in on every soup that he sees. He's just gonna just kill every one of them because of the Ryan stuff. Essentially, he steals the virus. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go on. I'll wait. I've just remembered a fun fact.
Steals the virus. Sage reveals to Homelander that his plan has been a success, and when Singer is arrested for conspiring with the boys to kill Newman, Speaker of the House Stephen Calhoun becomes the new president of the United States. He's the kind of pop-up puppet, as guys were saying, the prompt-up puppet. Swears allegiance to Homelander, declares martial law, deputizing Homelander and his army of superhumans. What were you saying, Gazi?
I think I've just realized. Have I got this slip? You may know. So it's President Singer, isn't it? The one they're trying to assassinate.
Yeah, and then Calhoun is the speaker.
So isn't the I'm sure we've got Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy who was in Supernatural, and I'm just thinking the actor that plays President Singer, I think he played a character called Bobby Singer in Supernatural. I'm sure it's the same actor. I'm thinking, I'm not 100% sure if someone, it looks very similar. I'm just quickly trying to discover this in the background, unless I've made a complete error, but I'm sure it's the same actor because the way he says like idiot, and I think it's just like idiot, kind of like that is the way he pronounced that in Supernatural, and that was one of his favorite insults.
Oh, so yeah, I think I heard something about like Kripke pulling a bunch of people in from Supernatural into the boys, Eccles, as you mentioned, and then I think that was a big, and Smallville. For whatever, I don't know if Kripke maybe worked on one of those shows, but as you said, I think there's some connection where they pulled in a bunch of those actors, which is fine. The rest of the boys are ambushed and captured by Vought troopers led by Kate, Sam, and Love Sausage and Cindy, but Annie regains her powers and manages to escape. That was convenient. I mean, that's like, if you watch like Cinema Sins or Honest trailers, they always bring that up in Marvel horror movies, how at some point the character is going to lose their powers, then they got to fight the final. Like, that is like the most like freaking like superhero trope cliche that you could possibly do. Butcher drives off with the virus, probably one of the few interesting things that happens. In the mid-credits scene, Calhoun shows, here it is, the thing I waited 8 episodes for, that they freaking carried
10-second cameo.
That they breadcrumbed me for. Thank you, Eric Kripke. This is the Eric Kripke right here. In the mid-credits scene, Calhoun shows Homelander where Soldier Boy is being confined. So I waited 8 episodes to see Soldier Boy, who they already one of my favorite characters, who they already showed in Gen V, and he's frozen in carbonite. He might as well be Han Solo. It's freaking it pissed me off, guys. It really pissed me off.
He'll maybe wake up for season 5 for you.
Yeah, maybe Jabba will be able to do some sort of deal on a skiff and get Boba Fett in here to get Soldier Boy unfrozen. But Homelander's reaction to seeing Soldier Boy again, his performance was actually sick. One of the better Homelander moments. It's a bit of a secret scene. So that's everything, guys. They kind of screwed us on Soldier Boy. I'm not going to lie.
So before we get into ratings, do you definitely want to see then Billy Butcher's got to be more prominent in season 5?
100%.
You've got to see some exchanges
of
him. Yeah, exactly. It should have been. You've got to see him taking down members of the 7.
Yeah.
Obviously waiting for that fight with Homelander and possibly working Flip Ryan back over the side of light if that happens before. You've got to see that, haven't you, where things have got to happen. No slow pace and dragging things out.
This isn't going to work.
It's got to go somewhere.
Sheep crap, flying cow crap. It's not going to work, Kripke. I'm sorry, bud.
And you know what? BDSM, whatever.
I'm a little worried, guys, because I'm afraid if they blow their load on Soldier Boy with a prequel spinoff, that then he might somehow get watered down in this. Like if Eccles has to shoot both, you know what I mean? Because that's what it comes down to, guys. It comes down to like with the actor. What about the Soldier Boy secret scene, Wall Street? Though, did you F with that at all? So I want to see freaking Butcher get it, because Butcher only has 6 months to live, so he has to do it this season. I want to see him get his shot at Homelander. He has to protect Ryan from Homelander. We have to see what the Soldier Boy dynamic is, because as Gaz said, in my opinion, Ryan's light or dark side dance is going to depend on what Soldier Boy's dynamic with Homelander, because what Homelander is going to try to do is he's going to try to reanimate Soldier Boy, and he's going to try to recruit Soldier Boy back to the 7 so he can keep him on his side. If Soldier Boy doesn't go along with Homelander's plan and Soldier Boy presses him, that may flip Ryan back to Butcher. That's just my prediction, my guess.
And you've got to wrap up this. I'm full agreement, and you've got to wrap up the side acts quickly.
Yeah.
Ashley took some V.
She turned into a monster suit.
So that's where's that going to go? Is she going to kind of still stay with the 7, be loyal to them, even though they were coming after her, saying, look, I've got powers now? Or is she going to go off and do whatever? Thanks, Slip. Bobby Singer. I thought that was interesting, man, because, Bobby... Bob obviously shot for Robert Singer, so I thought that was quite a nice reference to Supernatural. And as I say there, I thought I'm sure that's the same actor, especially the way he says idiot, and I thought it's got to be him. Thanks, man.
There's some relationship there. I can't remember exactly what it is. The fanboys can correct me in the comments or the live chat, but I believe possibly Kripke may have worked on one of those, and that's why he had the relationship to pull in all those Smallville Supernatural actors. As we said, like, Kamiko is going to actually have to do something. Maybe she'll help Starlight later. I'm not sure. Like, everyone got captured, so I mean, Starlight is the only free one. It's going to have to be Starlight and Butcher that break everyone out.
So,
what else was I saying? Ashley, she turned into the soup monster.
Yeah.
Noir and Deep are trying to kill her, so she needs to have a face off with them. Ashley needs to either try to kill one of them or both of them, depending on if Ashley teams up with Starlight and Butcher. Maybe she flips sides now. It helps the boys, so that could be interesting. My boy A-Train is dope. Hopefully he does something. We'll see what happens. Good.
What do you think on Sage then, season 5?
I don't even care. I mean, her character's irrelevant. Like she already did her plan. What more can she do? And the boy, if she comes across Butcher, he's gonna dust her.
That's what I was thinking.
He's gonna kill any soup he sees. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking. If he maybe starts hunting down the 7 those that helped him, but it has to happen pretty much from the first episode. Open up, hit it, hit the bricks, man. Going.
Can't be any build up. I mean, so in Gen Z, there was some sort of like top secret prison where they were keeping the characters. So that might be where they keep like some of the boys or some of these characters and do further crossover. It's just like Gen V was such a lackluster C- the boys material that I just don't care to see it more integrated than it already is. I mean, every one of those characters are like pretty low level. They could all die instantly in the first fight with Butcher, as you said. For all I care, Huey's got to step up. We got to see more from him. So we'll see what it is. But I mean, I can give this was back when I watched season 1 and season 2. So I'll tell you guys where I was at. It's an 8.7 on IMDb. I'd give it an 8 or a 9. That's season 1, 2, 3. I mean, this season would by far be my lowest season of the 4. But you can lead us off, guys, unless you rated them separately.
Yeah, I'm going to be consistently awful, as I always am. So I like the first 2 seasons. Season 3 was not bad. This one, I'd give it a 4. I give it a 4. I thought it sucked.
I'd give it average. I'd give it a 5. I wouldn't be any higher than a 6, and the 6 would purely be Homelander. And I was missing Butcher. He got 0 screen time. Exactly. He got the least amount of screen. He's introduced as the main character in season 1 and the leader of the boys. And then by season 4, he's hardly in the show. And they add, wasn't he? You know what they do? He was a secret character. They add all those corny Gen V characters. Like for people that haven't Gen V, they're like, who the fuck are these guys? You know what I mean? Because so you're just like, oh, a bunch of young characters. Who cares? Check out my Patreon. I'm going to do a little bit more on there. I'm going to do Deadly Prey, and then I'm going to do The 10th Victim, which is not a Most Dangerous Game adaptation, but it's another thing that relates to a possible influence for Zodiac, a TV movie from '68. Lake Herman Road anniversary yesterday. Rest in peace to David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. Probably covered that with Mr. B on Monday. Like I said, I'm average on the season, guys. I'm sorry. It is my favorite show, but I'm a 5.5 is probably the highest I would go. And it just became too unfocused, like I said, I don't like 3 ended on such a peak that it's hard to get back to that. What's happening? Oh, looks like walkouts, guys. Let's wrap this. Tyson Fury's coming to the ring. Yeah. I got Fury.
Same. I
have to. Knockdown, or at least winning by round 8. Let's go.
Gotta be, man. The Gypsy King. Let's go.
Gypsy King, baby. Let's go, Fury.
See you next time, folks. We'll be reviewing something or streaming something on Ross's Twitch or whatever. Have a good Christmas, y'all. And thanks for the support as always. Lots coming in 2025. Don't forget Ross maybe on with Jerome and the boys on Monday. And are we doing anything?
We're going to try to do Nosferatu, but
it doesn't drop till January now.
It comes out on Grade Miss, huh?
Apparently, I think that release date's been pushed forward. Apparently, now it's dropping on New Year's Day.
Yeah, I saw the 24th, which is crap.
It might be then
for us. So I'm gonna try to get to it. But if we get it screened, guys, we'll do the Nosferatu review.
Okay.
Saturday. That'll be it for the year, guys. We're gonna come back on the 18th with we'll announce. I'll post the schedule on the community tab.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury, yeah, I agree, bro. A Homelander spinoff would be cool. They should just do a solo movie of him. just get it out of there and just do, whatever. Just go crazy, We're out. Thanks for coming through. Slipknot, Wall Street, Pixie, Fury, Gypsy King. We're going off. We're about to pop off. The Boys, season 4. Maybe we'll cover season 5. We'll see how it goes. But leave recommendations in the comments or the live chat. Gypsy King, we're out.
Peace out, y'all.
Nosferatu next week when we screen and schedule it. We'll figure that out. You guys get it. Paradigm Review Show. A ton of new actor interviews and major updates coming for 2025. Yeah. It's just all in the scheduling phase, guys. So you will like what we're going to announce. But we just can't announce any of it yet. So trust me, it'll be big, especially for this channel. If you like the types of films we cover, you're going to like where we're going with 2025. So like, sub, share. Click the join button for membership. Get me on Patreon, Planet X Filmworks, twitch.tv/Planet X Games. I've been streaming my heist. Do you like dogs? Is that your way of trying to get us to review Snatch? I've been streaming my Payday 3 heist, twitch.tv/Planet X Games. Follow me there. Gypsy King, we're out.
Right, peace.
You like dogs?